How are you tonight?
How was your day? Did someone saw you entering the area?
Are you missing someone?
Do you have enemies?
If you do not speak your mother tongue, are you pretty much yourself?
Am I authentic or another me speaking English?
When was the last time you felt ashamed? And why? Do you know a joke you could tell tonight?
Do you know a story you would like to share?
What do you find embarrassing? Are you alone here? With whom do you live? Do you enjoy being alone?
What do you do when you are alone?
And when you're not alone, with how many people you like to spend time with?
Can you feel your heartbeat? Can you hear me breathe?
Can you hear your breath? Are you afraid of the dark? Can you be trusted in the dark?
Are you afraid of violence?
Are you afraid of affection?
If you find yourself deep in a crisis, would you go to see a therapist?
Are you an optimist?
Do you like pessimists?
Has anyone in your family ever killed themselves?
If there were someone in your family who would want to kill themselves, who do you think that would be and why?
Is suicide an escape? Is it heroic to flee to another country?
Do you know how to change your identity or let it disappear without a trace?
Do you believe in fate?
Do you follow the path of your dreams?
Are you a slave? Do you own a slave? Do you have enough friends?
Can you sleep through the sound of gunfire? Have you ever heard an air raid alarm?
How deep should a grave? How deep should a grave be?
Do you believe in democracy?
Can you make a Molotov cocktail? When was the last time you apologized to someone?
Is the war raging at your doorstep?
Who is behind you?
What can you feel or hear about the battlefields?
Why do people often close their eyes when they are singing?
Where do people go when they disappear in a magic trick?
Do you remember the faces of your parents? Are you afraid of the dark?
Why are people afraid of the dark? Where does this fear come from?
And where do dreams come from?
Can you be trusted in the dark?
Where do you stop and where do I start?
What is the meaning of a border?
Have you found a good place? Who is around you? Are you ready?
Are you a good listener?
Have you found a right place here?
Now.
Now.
We begin. Dobrý večer.
Guten Abend.
Dobrý večer.
Vítejte v divadle FESTE, vítejte v industře, moje jméno je Sabina.
Willkommen zu unserem Abend I Love Hate über das Leben und Sterben junger Menschen in Zeiten des Extremismus. Mein Name ist Benita.
Ми раді вітати вас сьогодні в театрі Фесте на виставі I Love Hate. Мене звати Марія.
Jmenuji se Sabina, je mi 27 let, jsem herečka, žiju v Brně. A během zkoušení představení I Love Hate mi došlo, jak je těžké někdy nechat moji nenávist odejít.
Mein Name ist Benita, ich bin 27 Jahre alt, ich komme aus Wien und das richtige Maß Hass gibt mir Kraft, motiviert mich.
Мене звати Марія. Я приїхала з України після 24 лютого. Зараз я живу в Брно. За цей час я зрозуміла, що іноді я дуже сумую за своєю ненавистю. But today, we three women, we will talk about three young men. It's Yuri, and actually Yuri.
Is it three guys? Isn't it just two? Because I mean, should we talk about the killer more than victims? I mean, so, okay.
First of all, we want to introduce you to Jura Soyfer, a leftist writer born in February 1912 in the so-called Russian Empire.
Sorry, in today's world it is Ukraine, actually.
So, he was born in Ukraine. Okay, he was born in Ukraine. In a town called Kharkiv, and his father was...
It's like Kharkiv. Just like Kharkiv. Just softer.
Okay, I'll say something else. So, first of all, we want to introduce you to Jura Soyfer. He was born into a Jewish family and he died in Germany in 1939. So,
The second Jura Pankulic, born on 1st of February 1996 in Žilina, a young Slovak, a queer, a friend, a brother and son, and a salesperson at H&M. And he died in Slovakia on the 12th of October 2022.
And the third one, Yuri.
You should not say his surname, at least. Like, say something different than his full name. Thank you.
Okay, so Yuri K.
Yeah, it's good. Fine.
Okay, Yuri K. He was born in July 2003, a young Slovak, a high school graduate, and neo-Nazi, a son, a brother. And he also died in Slovakia on the 12th of October, so 2022.
Yes.
So, between the birth of Jura 1 and the deaths of Jura 2 and 3 span around 100 years.
Yeah.
And they all share the same namesake.
Yes,
Yes,
right.
exactly. In Czech we call them Jiří, right? And if it's small, it's Jiříček.
Check.
It's cute. Yeah.
We can say like Ritsu.
Ritsu. Okay.
I think in German it would be Georg.
Sure.
Georg.
Okay.
And what about Jorge?
Right, yes.
George. George. So the name George stands for charity, chivalry, and courtesy. Saint George is patron of soldiers, pathfinders, bow archers, knights, and he is invoked against epidemics as well as against poisonous snakes. So Saint George is one of the most heroic and manliest role models in all of Christianity, and the most well-known image of Saint George would be him sitting in his knight's armor, sitting on a proud horse, sitting on a proud horse, fighting an invincible dragon.
And the legend of the namesake goes like that. So, George saves a virgin princess, from a strange beast. And he saves her by crossing himself, which is injuring the giant serpent. Then the virgin princess leads the monster, suddenly tamed at George's behest, into the village. Her belt becomes its leash. Upon arrival, George convinces the villagers and the king to get baptized. And then, He kills the tame dragon!
Kill the tame dragon!
What? Why we still have to kill the tame dragon? Why here in the village? Could it be that he just needed an audience? And why are we actually talking about the same George?
Because of the name, Maria. This is George number 1, George number 2, and George number 3. Okay. But the real question we should ask ourselves, is there anything else that united those men besides how they were called? Is it their age?
The region they all come from, it's Central Eastern Europe.
And their gender?
No. Juraj Vankulic does not define themselves as a young man. So Juraj is queer and they define themselves as non-binary.
Oh, binary. That means that they perceive gender as a social construct, yes. Right? So they perceive gender as a social construct, and Juraj doesn't define themselves as a clear, straight cis male, and because of that, they become the target and the enemy of the murderer's family. Juraj Jr. and Juraj Sr.
And Juraj is not basically grown man yet. As a high school graduate, he was like a child. He was a teenager. And he was a child.
And he undoubtedly defines himself as a real man, as a proud Slovak. He's in love, but his feelings are not returned. And he hates everybody who does not fit into the man-woman scheme.
And he hates Jews also.
And the author, Jura Soyfer, he had Jewish family members. Though he wasn't Orthodox himself, he didn't go to synagogue, and he didn't have a Jewish mother.
No, he was a father Jew, so to speak, and he never officially converted to Judaism.
Yet he was Jewish enough for Nazis to send him to a concentration camp in a cattle car.
Okay, so Juraj hated everyone who in his mind was different, right?
Yes, but, I mean, I don't want to defend him or anything, but most people like to be surrounded by people who are more like themselves. You don't have to hate others, but maybe you don't want to be too close to certain people.
It's much more comfortable not to confront yourself with different people, right? With different lifestyles and different opinions. We rather to retreat ourselves into our own little world, into our own little couch, into our own little Netflix account.
Yes, and we like to forget a lot. Bad news, bad experience, our political past for sure.
Just remember that now we're telling a story of maybe forgotten Jura Soyfer, a political active young talented artist and guy. He died when he was only 27.
He was 26. There is a mistake on Wikipedia. So he does not belong to the so-called Club 27 together with all the Jim.
Kuskoday, right?
Okay, he died at the age of 26 in German concentration camp Buchenwald.
Yes. Juraj Vankulic also died at the age of 26 on a golden autumn afternoon in front of a bar in Bratislava.
So this is about real people. This is about each and every one of you sitting here today, because there could be a touching film or even a theater play made about every single person.
Yes. Life and identity, it's a full shelf or a collage or a social media account. And today we can only remember fragments of a so-called life.
Yes, but hey, now we want to talk about Jura Soyfer, a young political author who could have reached the fame of Bertolt Brecht if only at the age of 27.
He was 26.
Sure. Yes.
He died in February 1939. Yes. 26.
If only at the age of 26 he wasn't killed by Nazis.
Yes. Yeah. And technically he died of typhoid. It's a fever you get.
Technically, every single person who died in concentration camp were murdered by Nazis because the conditions there were inhumane and brutal, right?
Yes. So now we want to talk about Jura Soyfer, a young political author, and he actually wrote this plot, the story, and now it's a Netflix movie. I'll give you a hint, okay? It's starring Leonardo DiCaprio. It's starring Timothée Chalamet and even Jennifer Lawrence. Any hints? Any suggestions? No. You don't know?
Don't look up.
Exactly, it's called Don't Look Up. We can say that Jura Soyfer wrote a plot in 30s already, because there comes a meteor and boom, end of the world. And that's the name of his piece, End of the World.
And he was a very political author,
yes.
So this piece, End of the World, it's political. Yeah, and he was very charismatic and yeah.
Yes. Yes, thank you. Once he was accidentally arrested because they had him mixed up with someone else. But let's start at the beginning.
Mein Name ist Benita und Sabina und ich werden jetzt eine kurze Präsentation über Jura Soyfers Leben halten und dann wird Maria die Geschichte ihrer Flucht erzählen.
Soyfer's parents were immigrants. However, with time they became wealthy. Once they moved from countryside to Kharkiv. Jura grew up there in Kharkiv, in a city that made a leap from a very small town into a metropolis in the end of the 19th and the beginning of the 20th century.
Jura's father, Vladimir Soyfer, was a merchant. His mother, Lyubov, was a so-called society woman. The family spoke Russian, but through a governess, Jura also learned French. And due to eyewitness accounts, Jura's first poems were written in French.
The name Soyfer comes from Hebrew, Sofer, meaning a writer, scribe, or a scholar of Torah.
The family was not Orthodox Jewish, but secular, so less strict. They were more threatened by the anti-Semitic pogroms than by the revolutionaries.
So in 1920, the whole family fled via Constantinople, which is today's Istanbul, all the way to Benita's lovely hometown, Vienna.
Vienna, yes. Yeah, actually, it's Maria, it's like you. All the way to, like you.
You want me to say something now?
Yes, I want to. Yeah.
Okay, it's for you. So I have to say something now. Guys, I'm sorry, I have to go there. Let's get a seat. No problem. Sorry. I'm sorry. Мене звати Марія. І так, мій шлях до Брно був дійсно дуже довгий. Ми покинули Київ через тиждень, як почалась повномасштабна війна. З Києва ми виїхали до Вінниці. З Вінниці ми поїхали до кордону з Румунією, там ми пішки перейшли кордон, а звідти поїхали до Болгарії. З Болгарії до Греції, до Афін. З Афін літаком у Відень, а з Відня вже в Брно. Отже, я живу тут вже другий рік, і у мене є віза тимчасового захисту, щоб бути тут до березня 2024 року. Щоденно я отримала її швидко, в перший же день, коли прибула до Чеської Республіки.
Thank you, Maria. So, back to the Soyfers. The family had to wait 5 years to get their Austrian citizenship. They temporarily moved to Baden, it's a small town near Vienna, to Strassergasse 13. In 1926, they finally moved to Vienna.
At this time, Jura was just 8 years of age. He was going to primary school.
Yes. So in Vienna, the family that built so much for themselves became impoverished, but they remained to their circles, including the Rapoport family from Odessa. This friendship remained.
We haven't talked about his political work yet. So, living in Vienna in 1934, Jura joined the illegal KPÖ, the Communist Party of Austria.
Actually, are there left parties in the Czech Parliament right now?
No.
Not at all.
No, they vanished after 2020.
That's bad.
Yes. Anyway, Jura joined the illegal KPÖ, living in Vienna, because in his view, social democracy had given up the fight against Austro-fascist regime in Austria.
So, when it came to the referendum for the preservation of Austria's independence, the so-called Schuschnigg referendum, Jura Soyfer and his good friend Hugo Ebner didn't see any good to come out of it, so they decided to leave the country.
And after our two young friends heard the speech of Austrian Chancellor Kurt von Schuschnigg on the radio on the 13th of March, they both decided to get to Switzerland on ski.
Switzerland was the only democratic country at that time in Europe, and it seemed safe.
Hugo Ebner recalled this memory as an old man.
Yes. Jordan, that would be me. Oh.
Da Jura keinen gültigen Pass gehabt hat, sind wir zu dem Beschluss gekommen, dass wir die Berge versuchen. Wir waren beide halbwegs gute Skifahrer und ich war im vorigen Jahr schon im Montafon Skifahren gewesen. Und es kam uns ganz günstig vor, dass wenn uns jemand fragt, dass wir darauf hinweisen können, dass ich ja schon letztes Jahr hier gewesen bin, wo politisch noch gar nichts los war. Wir nahmen also am 12. März den Schweizer D-Zug, der voll von Menschen war, die auch Österreich verlassen mussten. Dieser Zug wurde wiederholt von mehr oder weniger regulären Nazis kontrolliert, die einige herausfischten, die ihnen besonders jüdisch vorkamen. Wir stiegen um in Bludenz und fuhren mit der Montafon-Bahn bis nach Strums. Dann stiegen wir auch ins österreichische Alpendorf Gagellen. Hinter Gagellen sind wir dann von einer Gendarmeriepatrouille kontrolliert worden, die aus einem Gendarm bestand, dem die ganze Sache sichtlich unangenehm war. Einen Zeit, an den ich mich nicht mehr so genau erinnern kann, und einem jungen Nazi. Dieser bestand darauf, uns zu verhaften, obwohl nach dem ersten Anblick eigentlich überhaupt gar kein Grund dazu vorhanden gewesen ist. Er nahm als Vorwand eine Sardinenbüchse, die unnötigerweise in ein Zeitungspapier eingewickelt war. Es war eine durchaus legale Gewerkschaftszeitung aus dem Jahr 1926, also eine vaterländische, aber er betrachtete sie als eine illegale und bestand darauf, uns mitzunehmen und zu verhaften. Wir wurden hinuntergeführt nach St. Gallenkirchen, wo wir eine Nacht unter Bewachung verbrachten und wo wir uns erbetteln ließen auf Nimmerwiedersehen. Dann wurden wir nach Bludenz gebracht. Das war ein sehr kleines, nettes, freundliches, könnte man schon sagen, Gefängnis, wo uns der Gefängniswärter sogar Filzbatschen zur Verfügung gestellt hat, damit wir den Boden nicht dreckig machen. Und also am nächsten Tag wurden wir nach Feldkirch gebracht, wo uns die Gestapo übernahm.
Thank you, Benita. Thank you. And now I'm telling you the rest of it. So, following his arrests in spring in the mountains 1948, Jura Soyfer was transported via several prisons in Bludenz, Feldkirch and Innsbruck, and under inhuman conditions to Dachau concentration camp in June, and from there to the Buchenwald concentration camp in September the same year. Jura contracted typhus due to the catastrophic sanitary conditions. Even as he was staring down the barrel of a gun, Jura continued to write his literary texts to lift the spirits of his friends in the camp. Karl Valentin, a German comedian, once said that 2 countries at war would save a lot of gas and kerosene if they would drop the bombs directly on itself. The result would be the same. Jura was writing humorous and political music dramas. He tried to shake things up in a funny way. If you had to imagine the scenario for the end of the world, what would it look like? Dobrý večer, jmenuji se Sabina. Teď vám zahrajeme kousek ze hry Jury Soyfera s názvem Konec světa. Budu tam hrát takovou dominantní postavu. Mám ráda hrát dominantní pozice, protože mi přijdou mi k smíchu, přijdou mi vtipné. Ne vždy, ale většinou. Já sama mám ráda, když jsem ve svém osobním životě v dominantní pozici, protože když jste v dominantní pozici, tak vám přece nemůže nikdo ublížit. Že? I když to je spíš taková iluze. And now I would love to invite here on the stage my dear friend and colleague Benita Martins. Come here, come here, come here. So Benita will play in the play of Jura Soyfer 2 characters. The first one will be Mr. Wood. Mr. Wood is a sensitive soul. He's a writer and he's a gentleman. Right, thank you. Yes. Thank you. The second role of hers will be magic is happening. Mr. Wood is the head of the French Committee of the Salvation of the Arche.
Bonsoir.
Bonsoir to you too. Thank you, Benita, very much. The second actress I would love to invite here with us is no other than Maria Tatarinova. Come here. Come here. Yeah, it's okay. Thank you. Hi. Hello. Hi. So Maria is so kind that she'll play also 2 characters. Right? So the first one is Vinnie Winston. Vinnie Winston.
Hi.
Is a Hollywood star,
Hi.
a movie star,
Yes.
a film. She's a star, right? Hi.
Hi.
Thank you, Maria. The second role of hers is a female reporter, or just a reporter. Great. Okay, and then it's me. And I will play Mr. Rockford and his dog. And now, the end of the world.
London. The full information package in 30 minutes. The giant comet continues to race toward the Earth. Irresponsible elements have spread the rumor that the official measures to protect the population against the end of the world are insufficient. The clashes between unsettled crowds and the police in London and Paris claim fatalities on both sides.
Where's the head? Well, the reports about visitors' journeys are also stationed.
The minister of propaganda's speech titled The End of the World, a healing cold water bath, was received with cheers.
New York. The 50 richest Americans have chartered a spaceship designed by the inventor Roddenberry to escape the general strike against the end of the world called by the unions. We are their light.
Are there allowed animals on board on this spaceship?
Bobby! Bobby! Where is the damn dog? Where is the damn dog, huh? Where is it? What? Bobby, come here! Come here, little boy! Come here, little boy!
So, are you excited, Winnie Winston?
Dear Mr. Wood, I used to make films with Clark Gable, so nobody and nothing could possibly excite me ever since.
And why should it? Mr. Roddenberry has assured us that due to the exponential thrust of the engines, we'll be out of any danger within 10 minutes from the start.
I heard that it is freezing cold in space. It could be devastating for my complexion. It's awful apocalypse!
Oh,
Winnie Winston, I think you need to understand the gravity of that moment. When I imagine that in 20 minutes, 1 million kilometers below us, the Earth will collide in a celestial body in a tremendous span. World's capitals collapsing, skyscrapers buckling like matchboxes, volcanoes erupting, the death screams of hundreds of dying people rising towards us, a sea of flames involving all living things. When I think about that, I can't decide whether to write a drama or a single powerful poem.
Poem?
Jesus. How long do we actually need to stay up there, Mr. Rockford? Mr. Rockford! How long do we need to stay up on this spaceship?
3 months, I believe.
Do you have a cameras on board? I need to be at the top of my game.
You know, my wife, she brought a plenty of wool to knit wrist warmers for the personal shovelers.
Professor Cook enters. May I have the honor to speak to the ladies and the gentlemen that are headed for safety?
Mister, first and foremost, we need to rebuild our culture. After this catastrophe will happen.
But that is precisely why I am here.
But all seats are sold out, Mr.
Mr. Guk from... Yeah, I just wanted to ask you to take this with you. It's reading books for children. It's after all, they should still learn how to read. It's a declaration of the human rights from the Revolution.
We don't have space for your box of curiosities because our shelves alone take up half the luggage compartment. And then there is our wardrobe, right? You never know whom you're gonna meet.
But
Am I right?
Mr.
Am I
Rockford,
right?
it's the future of the...
There is no time! We are leaving in 2 minutes.
Mr. Rockford, please, if you were so fast to pass special broadcast.
We are leaving in a minute!
It's an exclusive interview.
Well?
Actually, you are already on air, here on camera. Yes, closer.
To the American people. We, the 50 chosen ones, must leave the earth before the world ends. But we envy those of you who get to be part of this tremendous event. Because once you'll be able to tell your children and grandchildren, I was there when it happened. Okay? So chin up. Because you are dying for the United States of America, While there is still some time, please draw some doomsday bonds. What?
This is outrageous!
What happened?
Mr. Roddenberry is nowhere to be found. There was only this letter addressed to you, left on the pilot seat.
So to the 50 passengers aboard my spaceship, thank you for the millions of dollars. You have made the last 3 weeks of my life very enjoyable.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Indeed. But these 3 weeks were the last ones for you too.
What?
My spaceship doesn't even have the modest function of a child's toy.
What?
Also, there is no other livable planet with a good atmosphere out there in space.
What?
Have a nice end of the world. Sincerely yours, George Roddenberry.
Quick. Mein Name ist Benita. Wir werden jetzt ein paar Briefe von Jura Soyfer lesen. Jura war ein sehr privilegierter junger Mann, bis er es nicht mehr war. Wie wir hier sitzen und stehen, sind auch sehr privilegiert, würde ich jetzt mal meinen. Wir können lieben, wen wir wollen, wir können unsere Meinung frei äußern, ohne eingesperrt zu werden. Und ich will meine Privilegien nicht verlieren. Letters of Jura. Wien, 21. Februar 1938. An das Ehepaar Rappaport, CO, Children's Hospital Research Foundation, Cincinnati, Ohio. Meine Lieben, ich kann erst jetzt auf eure 3 Briefe antworten. Bei einer solchen Postwechselzeitdauer muss man sich einfach darauf beschränken, ungeordnete Notschreie über den Ozean hinweg auszutauschen. Zuvor eine gellende Lache, bitterer als der Atlantik. Denn nun ist eingetroffen, was ihr mir prophezeit habt. Der Roman ist futsch. Alle meine Gefühle zu diesem Verlust sind durchgekostet und eingeordnet. Eingestellt hat sich zum Schluss ein ambivalentes Gefühl, wie es wahrscheinlich nach einem schmerzlichen Todesfall eintritt. Was war eigentlich los? Ich wurde mit einem gewissen Herrn Franz Marek Seidel verwechselt, infolgedessen mehrere Wochen beobachtet und auf der Straße verhaftet. Man fand in meinem Zimmer Exemplare der in Österreich verbotenen Basler Rundschau. Resultat: obwohl ich nach einigen Verhören zu beweisen vermochte, wie fatal man sich vergriffen hatte, bekam ich nicht nur 4 Wochen Polizeistrafe, sondern ein Untersuchungsverfahren auf Presse- und Hochverrat, Paragraph 4 und 5. Jeder Kommentar geht in einer abermaligen, gellenden Lache unter. Menschenskind, wie mir zumute ist. Zum ersten Mal im Leben werde ich von einer politischen Wende nicht nur allein ideologisch, sondern materiell im armseligsten Sinne getroffen. Ich werde mir vielleicht morgen wirklich die Frage vorlegen müssen, was tut ein jüdischer Schriftsteller, wenn... Mensch, ist das nicht grauenhaft? Andererseits soll man die Schriftstellerei zum Teufel jagen. Das wäre ein schöner, klarer Weg, wenn sich die Schriftstellerei zum Teufel jagen ließe. Das tut sie nicht. Jura. Adresse Wien 2, Heinestraße 4.
Jura didn't stay at this address for very long, because soon it changed to the Buchenwald concentration camp. These are the excerpts from the camp regulations. Every prisoner may send and receive 2 postcards a month. No packages are permitted.
From each of his imprisonment, Jura wrote letters to his family and friends. Some of them were preserved. Here, it is the first letter from Jura Soyfer to his family from the Buchenwald concentration camp, the 2nd of October, 1938. My dearest family, I was transferred to Buchenwald concentration camp last week. I'm healthy and well. It is now important and advisable that you complete my immigration papers, my precise address, detainee in protective custody, number 9697, block 17.
Jura writes to them a few days later. My dearest family, be as healthy and in good spirits as I am. Then our separation will be only half as bad. Many kisses from my heart, Jura.
He also writes to his girlfriend. Dear Helly, I think of you a lot. I wonder where the storm of the past few months may have taken you to. What job, what area, what man? I carry a picture of you by my heart, although its likeness to you has probably faded over time, and I kiss it thoughtfully, every now and then. Jura.
Later he writes her. Dear Helly, regarding your question whether you should leave or not, I am all for the first one. Get out of here, my dear. Goodbye.
How could this happen?
It's happened. And it will happen again if we do nothing. Did you know that there was a zoo right next to the concentration camp, the Buchenwald Zoo?
Yes. The small amusement zoo was separated from the camp only by fence. Right next to the hungry, exhausted, often tortured inmates, one of whom was Jura Soyfer. And the historical sources described the zoo as a paradise for bears in the zoological garden Buchenwald. In the archives of the Buchenwald memorials, there are sort of pictures which surviving prisoner drew after the liberation of the camp. And here it is described how the first bear in the small zoo went insane due to the cramped conditions and the smoke of the crematorium and finally ran away. He was hunted for 3 days, recaptured, killed, and grilled in front of the camp fence. The fur probably ended up in the villa of some SS family.
The crematorium and the constant fumes that came out of its chimney, the smoke from all the burned people, it polluted the air with its stench and ashes and clouds of dust. It forced life out of there.
So the sky over Buchenwald was blue and empty and quiet, with no birds.
The only birds from trees and forests around, the only one that weren't caged, fled. And that's how it was in Buchenwald. And it must have been noticed by some residents in the area around Weimar.
So the name Buchenwald as in beech forest wasn't very appropriate.
From time to time, the starved prisoners entered, and this was staged a spectacle for SS, their families, and their guests. The starved prisoners were sent to bear enclosure with meat or honey to feed the bear in front of the spectators. An entertainment show like an ancient Colosseum, right?
Today, the new right-wing politicians are again calling refugees together in a concentrated manner in a camp. Back in the days, Goebbels' propaganda was very good at humanizing people. They were often described as insects, parasites, pests.
Today, we are witnessing such a fear-mongering in propaganda again. The hatred towards those who come to us, to Europe. Did you know that there was a concentration camp in the Czech Republic Just for my people?
Sudden trees bear a strange fruit, blood on the leaves and blood at the roots, black bodies swinging in a sudden breeze. Strange food hanging from the papa tree. Pastor a sea of the gallant sound, the bulging eyes and twisted mouth. Scent of magnolia, sweet and fresh, and all of a sudden, smell of burning flesh.
Do you stay behind your fence?
Do you look behind your fence?
Are you trying to protect your little world?
Can you call out injustice when you see it?
Do you tell others when something smells fishy?
Do you think that hunter-prey relationship fundamental in nature?
Is it natural competition?
How many scars do you have? Which one of your scars do you love the most?
What stories would you tell a prisoner? What stories would you tell a blind person?
What stories would you tell a person who lost a child?
Would you murder someone?
Do you think that human brain could be comparable with a computer?
Are stored data like saved memories? Would you say that the cloud is a fitting image for saved memories?
Would you take Xanax or antidepressants to make your life more bearable?
Do you like silence?
Do you believe that one day the whole country will fall into a magic sea? Do you believe that the nature will overgrow our cities?
Who in the world you love the most? Do you know a murderer?
Do you know someone who thinks like a Nazi?
Like a nationalist or a patriot?
What can make us feel proud?
Who in the world you love the most?
What were your last words to your loved one?
How did you say goodbye to a loved one? What were the last words to your parents? What will be the last words to your mother?
What would you say your child if you were separated at the ramp in a camp?
Dobrý večer, dobrý večer, dobrý večer. Jmenuji se Sabina, jsem z části Romka a někdy se ptám sebe sama, jestli se mám v budoucnosti bát třeba víc než Gadžové, jestli se někdy bude minulost opakovat.
Jews, homosexuals, Sinti and Romas, they all have been portrayed as insects, parasites and pests in German Nazi propaganda before their systematic persecutions of these groups began. Now we encounter such slogans again. Hate begins in the language.
There is a German book called Against Hate, which was written by a writer and war correspondent Caroline Emke. She's openly queer and she's a recipient of the Peace Award awarded by a German Publishers and Booksellers Association. In her essay she wrote in German,
Guten Abend. Guten Abend. Guten Abend. Mein Name ist Caroline Emke und ich werde jetzt aus meinem Buch Gegen den Hass vorlesen. Manchmal frage ich mich, ob ich sie beneiden sollte. Manchmal frage ich mich, wie sie das können, so zu hassen. Wie sie sich so sicher sein können. Denn das müssen die Hassenden sein. Sicher. Sonst würden sie nicht so sprechen, so verletzen, so morden. Sonst könnten sie andere nicht so herabwürdigen, demütigen, angreifen. Sie müssen sich sicher sein, ohne jeden Zweifel. Am Hass zweifelnd lässt es sich nicht hassen. Zweifelnd könnten sie nicht so außer sich sein. Um zu hassen, braucht es absolute Gewissheit. Jedes vielleicht wäre das störend, jedes womöglich zöge Energie ab, die doch gerade kanalisiert werden soll. Gehasst wird ungenau. Präzise lässt es sich nicht gut hassen. Mit der Präzision käme die Zartheit, das genaue Hinsehen oder Hinhören. Jene Differenzierung, die die einzelnen Personen mit all ihren vielfältigen Eigenschaften als menschliches Wesen erkennt. Sind die Konturen aber erst einmal abgeschnitten, sind Individuen unkenntlich gemacht, bleiben nur noch unscharfe Kollektive als Adressaten des Hasses übrig, wird nach Belieben diffamiert und entwertet, gebrüllt und getobt. Die Juden, die Schwarzen, die Lesben, die Geflüchteten, die Muslime oder auch die USA, die Politiker, der Westen, die Polizisten, die Medien, die Intellektuellen. Der Hass richtet sich das Objekt des Hasses zurecht. Es wird passgenau gemacht. Gehasst wird aufwärts oder abwärts, gegen die da oben oder die da unten. Immer ist es das ganz andere, das das eigene unterdrückt und bedroht. Das andere wird als vermeintlich gefährliche Macht oder als vermeintlich minderwertiges Ding fantasiert. Und so wird die spätere Misshandlung oder sogar Vernichtung nicht bloß als entschuldbar, sondern als notwendige Maßnahme aufgewertet. Zitat Ende. Fragen? Nein? Dankeschön. 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 Dankeschön.
Okay, so it seems I have to say something again. Мене звати Марія. Я приїхала з України. І ненависть – це відчуття, яке стало дійсно невід'ємною частиною мого життя за останні 1,5 року. Я часто згадую розмову з моїм чоловіком по телефону. У нас сталася ця розмова в той час, коли Маріуполь був окупований. У нас там досі живуть родичі, і в той момент ми нічого від них не чули. У нас не було жодних ознак, що наші родичі живі. Я ненавиджу їх за те, що вони змусили мене ненавидіти. Що вони змусили мене відчувати це почуття гнів і ненависті. Я не хочу бути такою людиною. Це правда. 24 лютого ми, українці, навчились ненавидіти. Я пам'ятаю перші дні, коли почалась повномасштабна війна. Я тоді була в Києві. З нашого дому було чутно все, що відбувалося у Бучі, бо ми живемо дуже близько. І я пам'ятаю, що я не могла контролювати свою ненависть в той момент. Мені було страшно. Я спілкувалася з кількома знайомими з Росії, намагаючись пояснити ситуацію в нашій країні, але вони мене не чули. І я почала публікувати в соціальних мережах жахливі тексти, сповнені ненависті, проклять, болю та неконтрольованого гніву. Я не хотіла бути такою людиною, але вони мене змусили. Зараз я вже понад рік живу тут, у безпечному місці. Я, на жаль, почала звикати до війни і до відчуття ненависті всередині мене. Знаєте, іноді я читаю погані новини, і я думаю, бляха, це так жахливо, я їх так ненавиджу, але я маю зараз йти на репетицію. Іноді мені здається, що моя ненависть, вона наче спить всередині мене, наче якась спляча тварина. Останнім часом мені здається, що вона недостатньо сильна. І я навіть іноді звертаюсь до Бога. Я кажу, Господи, дай мені сил ненавидіти їх сильніше. І я не хочу бути такою людиною. Мені не подобається це відчуття всередині мене. Але вони мене змусили. І я маю повне право ненавидіти їх від щирого серця. Thank you.
Mein Name ist Benita und ich habe in den letzten paar Jahren erstaunlicherweise leider recht oft mit Attentaten zu tun gehabt. Und ich kenne die Angst ganz gut, die in einem wächst, wenn so etwas in der unmittelbaren Nähe passiert. Und es ist ganz wichtig, dass wir uns diese Angst ganz genau anschauen und sie nicht zu groß werden lassen. Denn das ist genau das, was sie bezwecken wollen.
On the 12th of October 2022, a young man attacked a bar called Teplaren in the center of Bratislava's old town. The place used to serve as a safe space for the queer community.
Zamoska Street number 30, the one that leads from the historic center to the castle and parliament, became the crime scene.
The boy arrived at the scene at 6:30 in the evening. It was still daylight outside on warm October evening. The boy waited there for a few more moments, dressed all in black with a hood and gun.
So shortly before 7 o'clock, the boy drew a gun with a laser sight, like in a video game. He walked up the cafe and the friends were sitting there, so maybe. Yes. So he walked up the cafe and then he started to shoot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 shots later, he reloaded the gun and then he continued to shoot.
And according to the eyewitnesses, there were at least 10 shots. And on the bench in front of the cafe sat 2 friends who became the target of the attack.
Weren't there 3 people? 3 friends?
But in the online reports that appeared quickly after the attack and that are still available today, it reads that Matusz and Juraj, a gay couple, was sitting there.
No, that's false information.
One of them fell off the bench after being shot. Then student Matusz managed to get closer to the entrance, where he's also hit by the bullet. And then the perpetrator shot through a leg of a young woman, the waitress there.
No, that's not entirely true. That's not true like that. So, no, So, shortly before 7 o'clock, the boy drew a gun with a laser sight, like in a video game. He walked up the cafe and then he started shooting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 shots later, he reloaded the gun and then he continued to shoot.
And according to the eyewitnesses, there were at least 10 shots.
Yes.
And on the bench in front of the bar sat 2 friends.
No, weren't there 3?
But in the online reports that appeared quickly after the attack and that are still available today, it reads that Matusz and Juraj, a gay couple, was sitting there. One of them fell off information. One of them fell off the bench after being shot. Yeah. Then student Matusz managed to get closer to the entrance, where he's also hit by the bullet. And then the perpetrator shot through a leg of a young woman there, the waitress.
No, that's not entirely true. No. No.
Okay, so what we know? We know that shooter from Zamoska Street was active in social network Twitter under anonymous pseudonym made of numbers and letters like intime, etc. Some shit like this. And 5 hours before the attack, he published his 65-page manifesto targeted against Jews and queer community. It was full of symbols from the propaganda of German National Socialism.
Juraj indirectly admitted to his crime in his posts and announcements. And in his manifesto, he wrote in English about white supremacy, Zionist Jews. He also revealed that he was bullied at his high school. The boy got radicalized on the internet forums that neo-Nazis and QAnon conspiracy theory used to communicate.
My time has come. It is time to stop kneeling and start standing on my own feet. It is time to step up and fight, even if I were the last European standing, wrote the killer.
And the surveillance camera shows
how is it actually with the data protection? Wow, how is it possible that media possesses and shows these recordings? That's insane.
The surveillance camera footage, which somehow leaked to the media, shows how the killer delivered the so-called certainty. How the killer delivered the so-called certainty. That means that after the victim were already shot and lying on the ground, the murderer shot them one last time in the head to make sure they are dead.
No.
So, the murderer shot them one last time in the head to make sure they are dead. The killer delivered a so-called certainty shot. That means that after the victims were already shot and lying on the ground, the murderer shot them one last time in the head to make sure they are dead. Okay, no! The murderer shot them one last time in the head to make...
Then he turned around and ran away. According to the media, he went home where he changed his gun to another one. There was an argument with his parents. The murderer wrote a suicide note and then he left the house. Yes.
The murderer left grieving families and grieving friends of two young people whose life he took. And he caused the woman, the waitress, unbearable pain.
Stop, that's false information. Radka visited Teplaren that evening and she did not work there. She's no waitress, okay? She's a social pedagogue. She's the only eyewitness of that attack. The only one. And I find it unbearable that we are doing the same thing that media does every time after a killing spree.
What do you mean?
I mean,
she means that we are telling the story the wrong way around.
Yes.
Because we are no better than media. We take voyeuristic pleasure in a true crime story. Right.
So you mean we must side a victims?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. But let's all calm down and let's start at the beginning.
Good, so now we are going to tell the story from the point of view of the woman who survived. Radoslava Troxjarova. The author of the play met with her in Bratislava, not far from the scene of the crime, and she asked her,
how is it for you to talk about the horrific events of that October evening? Should we really go outside where there is less people?
No, it's fine by me. It hasn't always been like that, but I have told this story so many times and I have learned to speak about it openly. I want to help. Besides, I prefer to tell my story myself because it is only me who survived. I have no idea about who, when and how they managed to write and share all these reports of the events so quickly online. There it is says that Jura and Madush were lovers and that I was working in Teplaren, but I was there, nobody else.
And how was your relationship to the murdered Jura and Madush?
They were always there for me. They always cheered me up and they were good friends and good listeners. Actually, Jura didn't even want to come that evening. He just stopped by because he baked the cake and he stayed for a quick drink.
How was the weather that day?
Nice. The weather was warm. Actually, three of us sat there on the bench in front of the bar and there was a sign, a blackboard. We are warm, our drinks are cold. So three of us sat there on the bench in front of the bar. We were waiting for other friends who were late.
And how did you notice the killer? Did he behave unusually or oddly?
We noticed a young guy dressed in dark clothes. He hung around the cafe by entering the neighboring houses. He had the hood on. We didn't think anything of it. Many teenagers wear hoodies. His mouth was covered, but it also became normal during the time of pandemic, and it wasn't an unusual sign in the time of COVID masks. He stood there and hesitated. Looking back, I'm not sure, was he waiting for more people, less people? We thought that probably he's just shy and unsure to go to a queer bar, that probably it is his first time here.
And then he just started shooting.
We had no chance as he was shooting at us from behind. In back off, I had this monotonous sound in my ear. Jura thought first. He went to the ground, then Matusz. I felt unbearable pain. It was my luck that Matusz took me down to the ground with him and fell on me. I crawled on my stomach to the cafe, that you can still see these from the video recordings from the surveillance camera. The murderer ran back to the archway to do something with his gun. I used those 5 seconds to get inside the building.
And inside, how was the situation there?
I was alone. I didn't know why the murderer didn't follow me inside. I had never felt such a fear of dying. I was shot through and my leg was sticking out weirdly, but there wasn't too much blood. I called 112. The 4 minutes until the police arrived were like eternity. I just thought about my mother.
Thank you, Maria, for sharing Anke's words with us. So there was another interesting interview with the mother of Juraj Kulic at the newspaper Denik N with Dana, and she seems like a very proud woman who is very fond of both of her children. So Dana, hello. Dana, when was the last time you spoke to your child, Juraj?
Toho rána. Volali jsme si, protože Jurko měl naplánovat výlet do Prahy. Jako překvapení, narozeninové překvapení pro jeho bratra Samka. Říkal, že zůstane doma, že nikam nepůjde ten večer, že to všechno zařídí hotely. Tak měl pravomoc rád jezdívat tam často. No, tak já jsem ten den měla odpolední směnu v supermarketu a my teda nemáme zákaz telefonu, ale já vždycky na tu směnu telefon vypnu a jak skončím, tak ho zapnu. Zkontroluji, jestli mi někdo nepsal. Tak jsem zapnul telefon, někdo se neozýval, tak jsem šla domů, zapla jsem zprávy a tam jsem viděla deadline. Tak jsem si řekla, pro Boha, to snad ne, tak jsem hnedka vytočila. Juraje, nebral mi to, tak jsem si říkala, tak to má asi už vypnuté. Ale když říkal, že zůstane doma, ale šla jsem spát s malou dušičkou. A asi kolem 3 hodiny ráno u mých dveří zazvonila policie. A já jsem tu zprávu vůbec si nemohla pojmout. To byl to šok. Udělala jsem si kafe, pak jsem si udělala další kafe. A 6 hodin ráno jsem šla na Facebook a tam mi psala Jurkova kamarádka z Brna. Ptala se, jestli je všechno v pořádku, tak jsem mi zavolala a řekla jsem, že není v pořádku. A tehdy to jen všechno explodovalo.
Did you notice who the killer was?
První, čeho jsem si všimla, bylo to, že se taky jmenuje Junger. Ale já mu to nemám za zlé. Já si myslím, že je to všechno výchovou, že je to všechno prostředí, ve kterém člověk vyrůstá.
And did anybody reach out to you, maybe the parents, to apologize? Or...
Ne, nikdo se neozval.
Thank you, Sabina. So, 20th of October 2022, Slovakia. The dictionary definition after the attack of the queer community changed.
The word love is neither masculine nor feminine. For many years, the meaning of love in lexicon was an affection of one sex gender towards another.
On the 17th of October 2022, Drudovic-Stuhl, Institute of Linguistics, changed the definition of love in its online version of the dictionary to strong affection for another person based on emotional, physical, and mental attractiveness.
In a speech entitled Words and Deeds, the Institute said that when it comes to basic human rights, nothing can be embellished. You either have them or not. The queer community is an equal part of our society, and everybody should have the same rights.
I can only add, equal rights for others doesn't mean less rights for you.
It is not okay